Assalamu alaikum. Greetings and welcome to Muhammad and Friends. Brothers and sisters, I'm your host, Jamil Muhammad, and we are streaming live. And if you'd like to participate in today's conversation, you can give us a call at 773-434-6625. Brothers and sisters, we have a very informative show for you today. But before I introduce our guests, I'd like to remind all of you that this production and all productions stem from CROW, the Coalition for the Remembrance of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the National Archives of the Nation of Islam, and we're here to preserve the name, the accomplishments, and the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I say that as a reminder because I want to make sure that that message is clear. And I'd like to encourage you to please visit our website at www.crow.org to find out more, not only about what we do, but how you could support us in our endeavors. And having said that, I'd like to introduce a dynamic young brother today, someone who has been on the show before. Our brother is a collegiate student, and he's a member of Muhammad's Temple of Islam, number 20 in Camden, New Jersey. Our brother, Safdar Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Walaikum salam, Brother Jamil. How are you?
I'm fine, beloved. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. All praises due to Allah.
Brother, it is great to see you. We haven't had the opportunity to sit down in a while, but I'm glad that you're able to join us today.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, Brother Jamil. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Brother, of course, you know, we share such a special, loving relationship with the brothers and sisters there in Camden. And of course, you've been here and visited us here at Crow. And today we want to really talk about not only your foundation, but the things you're experiencing and just in that nation building era of how to give back. Because it's important that we have the perspective of young people. There's a lot of conversations that go on about young people, but today we have the opportunity to talk with someone like you who has benefited not only from that foundation, but right now going through the very experiences of transitioning to adulthood, brother. So thank you again, okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So for those in our viewing audience, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourself? I mentioned you were a student, but you could go into greater detail about your background.
Well, I attend Harrisburg University of Science and Technology over in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I am 19. I'm going on I just completed my first year, so I'm going on to my sophomore year, and I'm studying esports management. So that is the management of the esports field, which is like competitive gaming,
Yes, sir.
and it's a growing market. It's a lot of growing uh, like teams. A lot of famous NBA and NFL teams have invested a lot into that aspect. So I am studying that and to broaden out into like the technological field and management side of that.
All praises due to Allah, brother. Of course, that subject wasn't readily available when I was a young man, but it shows that you're keeping up with the modern times.
Praise to Allah.
Prior to coming on air, well, you mentioned that you're 19 years old. We
Yes, sir.
see the narrative in the media about young people, and we know that these times are challenging now. Of course, you grew up in the Nation of Islam. You have that foundation. We understand the times in which we're living in. And so, as a young black man, 19 years of age, let's talk a little bit about not only the experiences that you're going through from your perspective, but maybe the importance of the foundation that you have in order to deal with these things. As I stated, you're a Muslim, follower of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, a member of Muhammad's Temple number 20, a graduate of Muhammad's Temple of Islam number 20 there in Camden. And just talk about your foundation, share it with our viewing audience.
Well, I began attending the University of Islam since the third grade. I was in the third grade. And that was also the first year that it opened up. I've been attending ever since, never went to another school or program or anything like that. My education has came from that. And for those who may not know, one of the teachers here who is dubbed the master teacher, Sister Catherine Muhammad, just so happens to be my mother, and she taught me for most of my elementary slash middle school years, going on into that, and then into high school, she taught civics as well, and like history and art history, things like that. So that would be like the classical arts of classical music and also arts for like Black artists in general. And having that foundation, it definitely rooted me not only for school but also in life, because these are many things that, especially the things I've listed and more, that you can take with you. And of course, as well as the greatest thing that you could take with you are the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad that you take along from those school days. So I believe I've received not only a great foundation but uh, the best foundation that I could receive
Yes, sir.
personally.
As someone who has attended the school since inception all the way through graduation, talk to me about the sense of responsibility that you feel towards mentoring those younger students and giving back and helping to continue that process, as that foundation was so essential to you.
You know, that was a interesting topic. You know, the topic of guidance and being a mentor towards my younger brothers and sisters, but mainly, my younger brothers, since I'm around them more and giving them the guidance throughout life, giving them the guidance that I have gotten throughout my older brothers from when I was their age. And having that kind of example is always great. It is nothing to be looked over. And I always cherish it because having that and having that kind of example, you appreciate it more, and having that kind of mentorship. So you know what to expect and you know what to go through throughout life. Why? Because your older brother has experienced it or has went through a similar situation and is able to guide you along, as we say in Al Fatiha, oh Allah, guide us along the straight path. Sometimes
That's
we
right.
need a guidance. We need
Yes, sir.
that little natural GPS in order to take us straight to where we need to go. Really, Jamil.
Yes, sir. But as I've talked to you now and I've spoken with you before, you embrace that and have embraced that with a smile and not necessarily like a chore or a burden. How, many times when we talk about responsibility, mentorship, and giving back, our young people shy away from it. But why have you embraced it so much?
Um, that's a great question, actually.
Thank you.
I embrace it personally because I love being having the opportunity in order to be that example towards younger towards the younger generation and towards our future. I Even though I have father figures, having that father, my father wasn't always there. So for the time that he was there, I take the good, as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us to take the best part. And I take the best part and I want to express that, but in full, towards my younger brothers and towards those to come afterwards, so that I could be that shining light and that they could receive the best of the best that I can give out to them. And personally, that's what puts a smile on my face every day in order to wake up. And I thank Allah for that opportunity. And in order to have uh, them also have a smiling face as well, because, they being able to be receptive and listen to when, you're giving them advice or helping them out, whatever the case may be, small or big. It always just brightens my day.
Yes, sir. All praises due to Allah. Brother, I know the most honorable Elijah Muhammad does not necessarily get the credit for establishing schools and encouraging us to set up our own educational system for our young people. I know there in Camden, the temple under the leadership of Brother Minister Wasim Muhammad, who is an educator by profession as well and actively involved in that. You know, the Muslim school don't does not necessarily get the credit or seen in the same way as private education like some of the Catholic schools were financed. But being surrounded by educators and having that love of self and knowledge of self poured into yourselves, you all didn't necessarily miss anything because, as I understand, you all, if you wanted to participate in extracurricular activities, you had the opportunity to do so as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
So- And, just talk. I want that for the viewing audience because sometimes they minimize those contributions. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad stressed that the separation of the sexes while we're in school to make sure that we focused on what we needed to and minimize certain distractions. And I know you came up through that, so you were able to be uber focused. But as you transition into the university at Harrisburg and you're out there, tell me, just in you label them off as stressors, but we're all tried. We have experiences for the first time. How has your foundation enabled you to deal with other people, at the university level?
Well, having that kind of university experience, personally, attending Harrisburg University. Harrisburg University is a smaller school. The classroom sizes are smaller. Most of the professors are more engaging
Yes, sir.
because of that. So having that already rooted from the University of Islam to where you have an engaging teacher, you have that kind of engaging talking to, and to where you're not in school for a large 7, 8 hours a day, you know, you there's already that sense of familiarity. So getting used to the classes was well, but also as you stated, dealing with people,
Right.
dealing with other people. There are definitely those distractions, whether it be the people talking to you, whether it's certain vices that people try to offer you of this world and things of that nature. There are definitely distractions. However, in order to have that, as you said, that focus, I believe you worded the uber focus.
Yes,
In
sir.
order to have that focus, that uber focus, uber meaning that large amount of focus you have to have, that means it already has to be rooted.
Yes,
In
sir.
order for it to be rooted in, it starts as small as separating the sexes, just like in the temple meeting on how you have brothers on one side, sisters on the other. Because in order to receive the full amount of education, in order to receive all of the information, you have to be uber focused,
Yes,
which
sir.
means you cannot have a distraction as similar as you coming up, and there's certain things that I see all the time that even public schools will have to deal with all the dress code of certain girls and the all those kinds of things that it'll distract the boys. However, because you're growing up in that prepubescent stage, it's hard to control those hormones. So now it's like, it's a bunch of distractions and chaos. Whereas in the University of Islam, we're just looking from the outside in, like, I'm glad we don't have that issue. you
Yes,
know.
sir. All praises due to Allah, brother. One of the things in growing up in the Nation of Islam that we talk about is we have the foundation as young people, but we're in a protective environment. We're around family. We're in that temple community. But when we go out on our own, and we have to own it for ourselves and apply those lessons. Talk about those experiences and how it has built your confidence and strengthened your belief.
Um, you know, I've had a similar conversation before last week, and what I said was, I quoted the Holy Quran to where the Holy Quran stated that those who say you believe think you will not be tested and tried. And we cannot simply just say that we believe in Allah and His Messenger and not be tried on that factor. And there are plenty of things, plenty of opportunities that came about, or not opportunities, plenty of distractions and obstacles. That's the word that came about. But personally, in order to, as we're taught as Muslims, to meet and overcome all obstacles in our path, those things only strengthen you so that if you come across something similar, that you're able to know how to combat it or deal with it or deal with that obstacle. Or even as we previously mentioned about the mentorship,
Right.
on how, let's say, if a younger brother of mine comes across that kind of obstacle or is going through that kind of thing, I can guide them through it and help them go throughout it. So be, because I may not have had that guidance or may not have had to learn it on my own, whereas opposed to they can have that kind of opportunity to learn from an older brother who has experienced it, and they can move throughout it. So I feel as though it not only helps me, but it also helps my nation and my community.
Yes, sir. And, I know that you all also are doing some amazing things there in uh, Camden, and talk about that spirit of community because your service has extended beyond the walls of Muhammad's Temple number 20. You all are actively engaged in the community and a part of the community, and you've been instrumental in that throughout your growth, and I'm sure you still maintain those ties today.
Yes, sir. I am a member of the Democratic Committee here in Camden County. Um, Praise be to Allah by opportunities. And I thank Brother Minister for giving me the opportunity as well. And dealing with those kinds of things, it was throughout connections that have already been built and connections that are continue to be built. And one of those, as you stated before, with the extracurricular activities. It wasn't just sport and play or track and field that we were exposed to, but it was also community service type things or programs like the youth leadership program, the mayor's youth leadership program that we were able to uh, be put in, and that creates certain connections to where now that we're older or sprouting in adulthood, we have opportunities, we have jobs and things that we're able to do within our community so that we're able to grow that up and we continue being involved and to be that light, because we're not only a guidance here but in our community we also have the lost found we're trying to get in touch with. We also have the lost found we're trying to get to, so we can be that shining light and that inspiration to our people as well.
Brother Safdar, personally, from a personal experience, I've benefited as well as the Crow membership from not only the example of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, but watching the example of my father, Brother Munir Muhammad, as he established relationships and built relationships in different aspects of the world, particularly some of them in the political spectrum, to get in the room, to be that voice of accountability, that voice of consciousness for the black people, to even strengthen our elected officials. I know that you see that example in many of those workings by not only Brother Minister Wasim Muhammad there in Camden, New Jersey, but also other members of the temple, Sister Nur Muhammad, who's actively engaged as well. And being a member of the Young Democrats, tell me the the pride you feel or what it's like to operate from a position of strength, because you have that knowledge of self, and when you get in those rooms, those environments, you're speaking on behalf of the community. um, and many times in our community, those who are not as confident and those who don't have the knowledge of self are a little bit intimidated and fearful from those circles, but you've seen firsthand that you don't have to lose yourself by having dialogue and relationships with others.
Yes, sir. I love the way you put that, Brother Jamil, on how, you know, you do not have to compromise your beliefs. You don't have to compromise yourself. You do not have to compromise that man, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, or his teachings. You should not and never should compromise those. Why? Because that is what puts you forward. That is your guidance. That's your light. And having that light, that's what people notice within you. People notice. Sometimes people will compliment you or say it, or they'll be astounded, or it'll be something where they can't really put their finger on it. It's that man right there. And the man who taught him and raised him up, Master Fard Muhammad. And, you know, having that kind of guidance to be in those rooms, you begin to have, you know, how to deal with certain situations, how to deal with certain people, because especially here in Camden, you know, Camden is a very political city, and people will take politics. You'll have the good people who genuinely have good hearts. You'll have the people who may not know, or people who may try to slide and, you know, slip some things in there, try to be the snakes, as the Bible teaches about the snakes.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, you'll have people within there, but having the knowledge of self, you know how to deal with those certain things in righteousness
Yes, sir.
without having to compromise yourself.
Yes, sir, brother. It's ironic you mentioned snakes and serpents. Our brother Sharif was giving a conversation over at Crow today, and we were talking about once you identify who someone is or the territory which it makes it easier to navigate when you have this teachings. You know, you don't have to fear anything. You just have to proceed with caution and move strategically, you know. And I think that's
Yes.
one of the benefits that we have from being students of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and most certainly studying him and knowing that he gave counsel to many elected officials and leaders of various organizations who may not have had the full knowledge of self, but understood the importance of speaking with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and how he was able to affect change and conscience in them for them to move forward. And I know that that's the goal of every Muslim, is for the civilized to teach the uncivilized. And so, you
So,
know, with that perspective, as a young man, before you leave, I want to emphasize that this is a work program. And so we've talked about mentorship, we've talked about service, but there's that sacrifice of giving your time for the organization, for the greater good. And I know that that's something that, you know, many people don't like to say. It's one thing to talk it, but I know that there are work programs, because I've seen you all soldiering in the community. I've seen you all doing things. There was the farmers market and things like that. So talk about the actual work program and what it's like to sacrifice that in the effort to build your community there in Camden.
well, Brother Jamil, I know you know. However, our work program, we were following through with the economic blueprint that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad has given to us and given the entire nation of Islam in order for us to do for self. And as you said, we can't just walk it, or I mean, we can't just talk it, but we have to walk it. And in order, that saying, that phrase, do for self, it's not just talk for self, it's not just have an idea for self, but you have to do it. And throughout the righteousness of Allah and his messenger, throughout the righteousness, if we're doing something, or when we are doing something that is to benefit our community, when we're soldiering every day, when we're cleaning up outside and sweeping and picking up the trash, when we're just standing posts outside, you know, waving to the passersby and everything like that, we're being that light, and we're letting the people know, our community know, that this is your safe haven. This is the work. This is the work that we are providing for yourself. Why? Because we are doing for self, not anyone else, not any other kind, but we are here, we are building, and we continue building as our brother minister is so ecstatic, and so are we about the project that we have here, the university project, on how we have an up and coming performing arts center here, how we have the up and coming radio station and the adult daycare facility, and all of these things that we are continuing in the Shabazz produce, and how brother Lieutenant Khadir and I are uh, expounding upon that, all of these kinds of things to bring fresh produce into our community, all of these things and more to come to benefit our community and our nation, as we have to do for self so we can benefit, as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, that that is our salvation, to separate and do for self so we do not have to depend on anyone else.
All praises due to Allah, brother. That was well said. And before we transition into the next segment, what would you say? You know, we have young people who have grown up in Crow. We've had young people, of course, growing up in the Nation of Islam. What would be your message to a young person who has benefited from this foundation in terms of being inspired or motivated to come back and assist and support and continue with the responsibility of nation building as someone who is in that stage right now and actively attempting to do that?
Um, well, one thing that I will say personally is that you cannot let yourself be discouraged ever, as the most honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us to stay strong within the teachings, and that you need no friend but a friend in Allah, and to have that, to never be discouraged no matter what comes, no matter what obstacles, whether it be physical, mental, or spiritual, whatever obstacles come your way, to meet and overcome, and to never be discouraged. And as long as you are in righteousness, as long as you are doing it to benefit yourself, your community, and your nation, then Allah will surely grant you success, as we are promised within following the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and being a firm believer that we will be granted money, good homes, and friendships in all walks of life. And especially starting young, you will be able to receive benefits quicker, because now there are things in place to where it is more difficult. As we said at the start of this, Brother Jamil, how there are things, how people would downplay the younger generation, especially the young black men and women of America. So, I say do not get discouraged. And as long as you keep going, Allah will surely grant you the victory.
All praises due to Allah, brother. I know I asked for a message to the youth, but that message was for all of us. All praises due to Allah, brother. And
Praise be to
I thank you so much, brother. Wish you continued success in your endeavors. I look forward to the opportunity that we get to speak again. Okay, brother?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me, Brother Jamil. And one thing that I will say before I go is, you're carrying your father's legacy and spirit very well, as we're taught in the Nation of Islam, that a spirit is what you carry. It's not a spook or a ghost, but a spirit is that energy that you carry throughout. As we're carrying the spirit of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, you are carrying the spirit of Brother Munir, and I want to thank you for that. And as we all here, but especially myself, we all love Brother Munir, and may Allah be pleased. But I want to thank you, Brother Jamil.
Thank you so much, brother, for your words and encouragement. And it's not only my responsibility and growth, it's with our entire Crow family. And so we appreciate that, brother.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. My peace and blessings to
Yes, sir.
the entire Crow family as well.
Thank you, brother. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Brothers and sisters, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back with a interesting guest. We'll be right back.
It's against your own health. That how creates more diseases in your body than you have any dreams of. In fact, about it, stop eating the hog, eat right, eat the proper food, and you will find 75% of your sickness leaving you. Yes, just try it.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. We are back and we are streaming live. And I encourage you to give us a call at 773-434-6625. Joining me in this segment is our friend and brother, Lieutenant Khadir Muhammad of Muhammad's Temple number 20 in Camden, New Jersey. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Wa alaikum salam, my brother Jamil. How you doing, sir?
All right, beloved, how are you today?
I'm doing fine, sir. Yes,
Good.
sir.
Brother, it's always an honor to have you on the show. Um, I really enjoyed the previous segment with our brother Safdar Muhammad, and it just shows the work that you all are doing there in Camden. And I know that you work very closely with them and as your brother as well. I have to open up. How did you feel just watching our brother in the first segment?
And that's brother Safdar right there. That's why everybody love him, and that's why we love him here at Muhammad's Temple of Islam number 20.
Hmm.
The whole brotherhood, young brothers rely on our dear brother Safdar. He
Hmm.
encouraged us all in the ranks of the brotherhood. That brother have an insight, have an intellectual, mouthpiece
Yes, sir.
that can expound and wow others. And we watch him work there in our community, in the Camden community, and how he inspired so many just with his words and wisdom coming from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yes, sir. All praises due to Allah, brother. And I know that you, as well as a worker there, and of course as lieutenant, are actively engaged in the things that the community. I'll start off asking because brother alluded to it about Shabazz produce. I know that before, during the pandemic, you all had started that in the way of making sure that our people had access to different produce and things like that. But I'll start with that, but just talk about some of the other things that you all have going on in Camden that, recently, brother.
Yes, sir. Brother Minister Wasim Muhammad would like to thank him for encouraging us and giving us the confidence to open such a business that's dealing with the community
Hmm.
and that's coming from out of the community.
Hmm.
And would like to thank Brother Minister for that opportunity.
Hmm.
But it was me and Brother Safdar, and along with others, who really took the mantle and really took the rhythm of opening up a business, a Muslim business, representing a giant of a name like Shabazz Produce. There's no stranger to the black community, especially to those who know. And
Hmm.
it was admirable that our people, how our people looked at us, particularly black people here, that they could have fresh produce, fresh fruits and vegetables coming from, the black community where they don't have to travel far or spend gas, um, go outside of our communities and to spend big money, and they have it right here. It was right here in front of them, right here in front of their faces. So we
Yes, sir.
thank Brother Minister for giving us that type of limelight, that type of light, that
Yes,
type
sir.
of exposure in doing business with our people. And we doing many major things here that we have to, that Brother Minister is putting a lot of weight on our shoulders,
Yes,
that
sir.
we gotta, represent the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the blueprint of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in the right manner. And he makes sure that we,
Hmm.
he guide us. He gives us, great mentorship, and he give us great stellar leadership. and the community understand that, they understands that, and they responded well to Shabazz produce and many other calls here at Muhammad's Temple of Asylum number 20.
Yes, sir, brother. All praises due to Allah. And I know some responsibilities on you as one of the oldest, and I know you still fit in that tier of the young brothers, but you've had some trips around the sun, brother, and we've witnessed a lot of growth in you and taking on additional responsibilities the last few years. Recently, you've been hosting with increased frequency Muhammad Speaks radio broadcast that comes on every Tuesday evening. I believe it's 7:30 our time. Is it Central Time, but 8:30 your time on WTMR radio. But talk about that experience and hosting the show, carrying that on, helping further that endeavor.
Yes, sir, Brother Jamil. I would say it like this. Brother Minister have a way of calling you last minute and saying, brother, you have the radio show. And that type of respondents that we have when we take on, that type of responsibility for our community and for the program of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We've been on that radio show on WTMR, radio 800 AM, and for 14 years, and haven't missed a beat. So by us knowing that and keeping that, responsibility and ongoing to keep the shows ongoing, because we have active listeners who tunes in every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. And to have that responsibility where they can have another face or a young brother, have other dialogues that can dialogue with our community, to those who respond to the call that Muhammad is speaking. Brother, I take great pleasure and great honor in doing that work, and I will forever be grateful for the opportunities and the teachings and the guidance. Sometimes people think guidance is, you asking the brother what to do, but sometimes that guidance comes from, seeing what our brother may do.
Yes, sir.
And if I know Brother Minister is the school board president, and sometimes he may be busy, and he's looking for the talent, the gifts, and to pour out those talent and gifts within us, so
Yes,
we
sir.
can go and show the product of what Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the messenger of Allah, is making.
All praises due to Allah, brother. You hit a point that I'd like to kind of delve a little bit deeper on, because it's such an important aspect of learning and examples. Because you say that sometimes a person can be so busy that they can't stop and hold your hand through the process. But for those of us who want to learn, talk about the responsibility of initiating that outreach, of studying the example and testing it for yourself, because the world moves at a fast pace, and in this society we're taught that in order to get that mentorship, that someone's going to reach out and tailor you along. But sometimes it doesn't work that way, but you still have the responsibility to improve self, to study examples, as you kind of alluded to, and talk about what that has been like for you as well.
It's been great, to see, how we respond to pressure. Even if we may not like it, having, watching and observing Brother Minister and others, dialoguing in a public speaking forum, to have that type of guidance, and you watching and observing, it shows that you're listening, and it shows that you're getting it. And to have, dynamic brothers like Brother Safdar within the brotherhood, to have that brotherhood, as we say, as iron sharpen iron and steel sharpen steel, in the making of a young man, or the making of the fabric of what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, wanted to make the black man and black women. And to have that example, to have such a great community who help you and to help you along with, their growth and development, and to help them too as well with their confidence, with their growth and with their development, just being a brother, reminding our brother of his duty in the same way they do with me too as well. They remind me of my duty, and to have to go an extra mile, to have that responsibility coming from the leadership and administration here at Muhammad's Temple of Islam number 20. I take great honor in representing the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, not just here inside the four walls, but to the larger community too as well, because we have a responsibility and have to take great sacrifices and
Yes,
great
sir.
pain and suffering. Yeah, Brother Jamil, yes, I want to go and have fun with my peers, people that I grew up with, but
Yeah.
that's over with.
Yes,
You know,
sir.
what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad put into our hearts and put into our mind is to give them to save their lives too as well. You know, to get them to save others. And we
Hmm.
not understand, when you understand the mission of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, then you understand the solution that we need. There is no time for sport and play. There is no time, to get into your own ego of emotions that you might want to wind down and, eat some chips and watch movies all day.
Yes,
But
sir.
that, but the mission of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it makes you engage in the place of love and the love for your people and for your kind.
You know, brother, you're speaking wise words right now that may not necessarily be the predominant view and perspective of many in our community because they don't have that foundation and understanding. But you said things like, that sacrifice, that pressure. Many times we know that when you put pressure on something, that's how you bring out the best in it. You test those things. We hear about it throughout the Holy Quran. We can read about it rather throughout the Holy Quran, and so we understand those things. But society tells us, let a child be a child. Let them live their best individual life. But there's no spirit and community of self development with that. No sense of help, and so when you talk about the mission, how hard is it? Or tell me the challenges that our young people face who desire to work in that mission when the narrative and perspective of many of their peers is pulling at them, and sometimes even family. You need to have fun. You don't need to work so much. All of these things that seem to take away from the objective. How is it that some of you are able to stay focused on the mission at hand?
Yes, sir. Great question, Brother Jamil. Growing up in the inner cities of America, and particularly Camden, New Jersey, you see a lot of young men may go off to college, may go off, to corporations or, while they're in college, they're trying to find a job, but to see the suffering and to see that level of educating at the universities, whether with a trade school, whatever their desires may be, but we still see our people suffering at the hands here in the inner cities of America. Because look, our communities still look the way it looks. There's no progress, and we're still relying on others to give us progress. And we have qualified men and women that went off to these educational institutions and cities higher learners of thought, but we see no progress in our community. Then we need another solution. Then we need another clean glass right next to a dirty glass, right? That the
Yes, sir.
Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us. And to be that example and to be that, not necessarily, clean glass, but to be that example that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, to have that history, I may say, to have that, the archives, that what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that he only went to the third grade of education, coming out of our same loans, the same problems that we may face, this the same family, family life. We all go through similar things in similar, circumstances, but to have the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to be our voice and to give us a message, and that's something that we can relate to and feel, that we can touch, that we can go into his books and how he raised this brother, how he raised that young sister. What did he do with the educated? What did he do? We have an example, and to have an example like Brother Minister Wasim Muhammad, how he go out and engage and deal with people of all higher learning of thought, or whether they in poverty, whether they the average brother on the street, whether they in office, to have that example and to have others follow suit and engage our community. Like Brother Safdar said, I myself as part of the Democratic Committee, but to see to see others, to show how we dialogue, how we can have, intellectual conversation without even saying the name, without even saying Islam. And it makes sense. Brother Jamil, that means more that, to us than anything as young brothers, that we can come with them with another solution and another solution base when it comes to the teaching of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad.
All praises due to Allah, brother. Talk to me a bit about the responsibility of being an example. Of course, I know with you, in your role, how you've grown up, many of the younger students at the Temple of Islam, many people in the mosque, everyone sees you. And so being that example, that next level to share with people, I like to say this, sometimes when it comes to pressure, sometimes people shy away from that pressure of responsibility, those expectations, and sometimes people embrace them and receive them and become motivated from them. And I just want you to talk from a personal standpoint about your journey in how you've embraced your role and how you've come to love it.
Brother Jamil, that's another great question. We have a saying here,
Yes, sir.
it's the famous saying that experience is the best teacher,
Yes,
but
sir.
knowledge saves a whole lot of time. And some of those experiences are where I went through in the walk that I journeyed with my father, with Brother Minister Wasim Muhammad. And it seems much endurance that he faced, sacrifices that he made, it's much pain that he's endured to see that, to have that, example to rub off on me, to see the commitment that he has when it comes to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and to see others follow suit, to follow that commitment that he has, to have that, to journey with that and to see that, to walk with it, to walk among him with that. Brother Jamil, I see, one thing, having guidance. There's another thing, having leadership. But to have that type of leadership of that brother to still stand on his feet, some of the things that Brother Minister goes through, other people will run and other
Yeah.
people will run from him. As we have a history here, that we've seen many people run from Brother Minister and shirk
Exactly.
their duties.
Yes,
And
sir.
me watching that and saying, man, all this work that my father is doing, Brother Minister Wasim Muhammad is doing for the community, sacrifice, and others benefit, not just Muslims, but other people benefit, whether they white, black, red, or brown. And to watch how people benefit from his resource, come from come to his aid for guidance, and to watch that and to see that, that helped me to have confidence within myself. Oh, man, oh, Brother Jamil, I got to study more. Let me study the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and go harder. To have that, the words come off the pages. I know a lot of people just like to talk eloquently, to say they like, give people a sensationalized feel good. But the actual, the actual do is the most important. Is the reason why I fell in love, to help to be an example to other young brothers, and to be humble, to be in humility when Brother Minister give out in instructions. I don't have an ego as a young brother in my journey, which I had to learn, is to be submissive to good leadership. And we know as young black men and young black women, we know we have a problem to submitting to good leadership. Because
Yes,
it's
sir.
easy for us to fall astray, to fall off that straight path. But to have that good leadership and to endure and to watch good leadership and to give their commitment is everything that I need to take that journey and to take that walk.
Yes, sir, brother. All praises due to Allah. Want to hit on another point that really goes in line with this. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that fear is the number one thing that holds us back. Of course,
Mm.
it's been the removal of fear, how important that is, for us. And you've seen the example, not only as a student of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but you've seen real-time examples in your father, people in that community as well. As a young person, having that knowledge of self, the knowledge of God, the knowledge of the devil, and being able to remove some of the fear that others in our community have to deal with, how important has that been in your growth or your path for growth and learning?
Brother Jamil, that's another great question. That is vital. And prior to 1975, in some of our history here at Muhammad's Temple of Islam number 20, prior to 2000, as a young person, I seen many children was lost. I seen many lost a lot due to not having the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, or have a light figure, or that stardom, that sunlight here, the guidance that comes from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the wisdom and the program of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So, and within my growth and development, when I see other young brothers and I'm talking to them and they come into me, they see me shine and they see me with a suit on. They see me standing outside on post, or they see me, working in the field in the community of endeavors that I'm working so eloquently here, with my career, that I have an opportunity to give back to my community about necessities. To have that, and the brothers come talk to you, and maybe the sisters come talk to you, the communities come talk to you. Because it's one thing when people used to say, you hear people say all the time, I used to be FOI, or I used to be MGT, or I used to be Muslim, and we see them fall asleep, and we see them rock away, and we're like, man, he has something in him. He's bright because he can carry a conversation, but to see the repetitive nature, and to see them keep falling short, that take now that does something to you, to know
Okay.
that, oh man, he used to be a Muslim, he used to be FOY, he used to be crack, discipline and receive guidance, hear and obey, and have the momentum of being successful, whatever endeavors that they were in, and to have that, to see families, to see other young brothers, to come to you, just to have a simple conversation and talk. And while we having that conversation, and they come out with great substance and come with something like, oh, brother, thank you. That's great responsibility. That ain't no lightweight thing. When you're trying to wake a brother up and you using the words and the wisdom of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to wake somebody up, to get them back on their post. So I take great honor to have that within, the Camden community here, or the Delaware Valley, and to have that weight on that brother ministers putting on all the young brothers' shoulders, so we can go and actively engage to show that the light is here with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Well said, brother. All praises due to Allah. And your positive outlook is something that is needed, because, of course, we said before, we know that Islam is taught by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad will never leave you. You have to leave it. But the only thing that's unforgivable is denial of Allah and His Messenger. And if you study hard enough and strong enough, you can get yourself back on the right path. And so, with that being said, brother, I'm going to let you close out with the message that you'd like to share with some of our younger followers or viewers out there in the audience, and those who may be struggling to reacquaint themselves with the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and trying to get back on their post.
Coming after Brother Safdar, closing remarks, but that's gonna be hard, brother.
Brother, well, you
you
could
know,
just, all you got to do is point to the messenger, brother, and also, talk to the people about some of the opportunities, and especially in the media, and how people can find out more about what you all are doing there in Camden.
yes, sir. You can come and view us on Facebook, on Muhammad's Temple of Islam number 20 Facebook page, or follow Brother Minister Wasim Muhammad at Wasim Muhammad Facebook page, and come and learn more. Or you can follow me there, as I give great substance and great posts, and provide great information. You can follow me at Khadir Muhammad Facebook page. But Brother Jamil, I would like to just say this. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you can look at the 44 years that he soldiered and was among us here in the wilderness of North America. You see what he did with young people. You see how, when you look at, Malcolm, when you look at Mr. Louis Farrakhan, you look at Muhammad Ali, and how they were in their 20s or early 30s, how they took great honor and leadership to take charge within their community, and have influence within their community, and to
Yes,
make
sir.
people see the greatness of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his messengership. It's the
Yes, sir.
same thing here. The history just repeated itself. like the 25,000 year cycle, history just repeat itself. So to
Yes, sir.
have the same history, a group of young brothers here in Camden to uplift and to hold the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's name, like Brother Safdar said, that the messenger and that you will be victorious in anything that you do. And when it comes to whatever and what walks of life that you desire, what money and good homes and friendships in all walks of life.
Thank you so much, my brother, Lieutenant, brother. Please extend the greetings to everyone there, Muhammad Temple number 20 in Camden, New Jersey. And thank you and our viewing audience for joining us. I'm Jamil Muhammad on behalf of the Crow Television production team, leaving you with the greetings of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum.